Doc, Mike, Ditolla. Michael, what's up? How are you?
Jim, I'm good. Good morning. I had a great smack-off call locked and loaded for today. I had a brilliant 3 minutes on the sellout known as Joseph Clifford Montana Jr., who's spending his days convincing heifer housewives that they never have to step into a gym if they just walk around in these magic shoes with a slightly thicker sole. Hey, Joseph, Kansas City thinks this is a pathetic tarnishing of your image. And I had to scrap everything about Jamie Lee Curtis, her magic yogurt, and the horror of listening to an aging sex symbol talk about the frequency and quality of her bowel movements. Because that all changed yesterday afternoon. You know, I missed calling or even hearing the smack-off last year, but in yesterday's third hour, I was treated to the 2009 winner, and I have a few questions. Did the winning smack-off call from last year really score points for calling me Dork Mike Ditolla instead of Doc Mike Ditolla? Is that what passes for skillful glossing these days? And Nerd Smack, really, Brad, how old are you? Have you not reached the age yet where you realize that the nerds run the world? You know what's funny? I always thought your name was Brandon Corona, and it wasn't until I saw your name in writing that I realized it was Brad in Corona. I got to say, I was stunned, because who admits that? First of all, Brad in Corona, you know something has gone seriously wrong in your life if you end up in Corona. You know you messed up big time somewhere in your adult life. No one grows up and says, you know, one day if I play my cards right, really put my nose to the grindstone, I get good grades, create a good career, one day if I do all of that, I might be able to live in Corona. I'm pretty sure while you were just killing me with that nerd smack last year, you made a point of saying you went to college too. You went to college and ended up in Corona? Good God, did you burn down an orphanage or get caught like drowning kittens in a past life? Wow, Brad, way to prove that college is the new high school. Oh, wait, by college, did you mean Riverside Community College? Oh, okay. Hey, who's the mascot at your alma mater anyway? Is it Testy, the meth-making test tube? Or maybe Tubi, the tube-top-wearing tweaker? You aren't Brad from Corona. You are Brad in Corona, Brad. What the hell went wrong? You live in the only place in the country that has its own urban dictionary definition. Your life's work has landed you in the, quote, valley of the dirt people. Your ambition and your life skills have landed you in a place so heinous that it's caused 3 innocent numbers to now send chills down our spine. No SoCal resident can hear the numbers 909 without instinctively turning to run. You guys single-handedly put the show Cops on the map, and were kind enough to teach America, hey, don't bathe your daughter in the same tub where you cook the math. But most disturbing, Brad, in Corona, is that the first 2 times you called this here show, you were run for circumcision smack. What exactly is your fascination with the turtleneck? I mean, how many times do you need to get run for male member smack before you're considered officially obsessed? Do you find yourself wishing the NBA would be more like the NFL and have its players wear throwback shorts? You might be the only person who doesn't realize that on Reno 911, Lieutenant Jim Dangle wore those shorts ironically. You know, getting run for an uncircumcised reference the first time, well, that could happen to anyone, I guess. But getting run the second time, it reminds me, Brad, of that scene in Superbad where Jonah Hill and Michael Cera are sitting in the cafeteria, and Jonah Hill confesses to him that he was obsessed with drawing the male phallus, and that, my friend, is you. While the rest of us had our favorite band names written on our peaches, yours was covered in dongs and wangs. Stop polluting our jungle with your genital takes, Brad, condemned to Corona. And last night, someone sent me a YouTube video of your smack-off call from last year. It had a picture of you that I can only assume you sent to Jim. Wow, that gives new meaning to the term soft focus. Holy Vaseline. I saw the picture, and for a second, I thought the oldest son on 8 is Enough and David Hasselhoff had a love child they'd banished to the Inland Empire. And why is your head cocked to the side like a golden retriever when the fire engine goes by? Well, that's it for me, Jim. And in what's now become a 2-year smack-off tradition, I have to run down to the only patch of green grass in Corona, pop my blue contact lenses in, smear the lens with Crisco, tilt my head to magnetic north, and give the rest of the jungle douche chills.
Look out. All right, Mike in Indy. It's your time, Mike. What's up? How are you?
Doing good, Rome. How you doing?
Doing great.
Good, good. Thanks for the invite. And I'd like to call out all the clones that took a vacation day on April 20th as well as today. I hope you've enjoyed your 3-day work week, you big losers. And Ray in Tampa, good story about Angelo Dundee. Too bad that never happened. And Terrence, good to hear from you. We all thought you were dead. Rome, I've been watching a lot of Texas Rangers games lately. What's funny about these games is when Ron Washington comes out of the dugout, the umps don't know if he's going to argue a call or try to snort the first baseline. Ron, you can't turn the clubhouse into Studio 54. And this isn't the 86 Mets. Rome, I hope the Rangers don't beat the Yankees in the playoffs this year. I can just see Tim McCarver trying to find Ron Washington for a post-game interview and unexpectedly walking in on Ron nasally ingesting narcotics off Susan Waldman's hindquarters. Oh, my goodness gracious! I doubt the Yankees would lose, though. That pitching staff has more live arms than a Philadelphia rub-and-tug and more big bats than a Van Nuys film studio. And Rome, they say religion is supreme in the SEC when it comes to the football. And the father of that church is the most forgiving man this side of the Pope and God Almighty. You guessed it, Father Corey Zickafoos, that hick from Knoxville that got robbed at gunpoint by those UT players but quickly forgave them in hopes they could play the next game. Apparently, Lane Kiffin would come in for his weekly confessional and say, "Forgive me, Father Zickafoos, for I have sinned," to which Father Zickafoos replied, "Fear not, my child. It's Tennessee. It's just the way it is sometimes." Then he told Kiffin to say 12 Rocky Tops and had him take a sip out of a communion goblet filled with purple drink and prescription cough syrup. Now on to Iafredi. You old hack. This guy's the favorite to win. Are you kidding me? Iafredi's kind of like Michael Jordan with the Wizards. Visibly out of shape, no fade left on the fadeaway. He's resorted to backing down smaller guards in the post. Iafredi, we want to remember you as the high-flying 2-time smack-off champ, not the chump that got beat by Vic and NoCal in the 09 smack-off. Why risk it, bud? Just buy yourself an iPad and ride off into the sunset as an emailer, you washed-up trash pail. And Vinnie Mac, great acceptance speech for the hack-off. You want to talk about name-dropping, how about you pick up that name you dropped last week? We all used to think you were just a big loser, but now that we know you're friends with Scott Frost's dad, our opinion has changed. Real sweet, bud. And Brad and Corona, I hear you're kicking it with Vinnie Mac these days? That's awesome, bro. That's the most ridiculous duo in the jungle since Ray J in Tampa told Joe in Hollywood to hold down the West Coast while he holds down the East Coast. And Brad, what's up with all these takes about grown men urinating? You've got the Vic and NoCal the bed thing. Then you tell us about the sounds Vinnie Mac makes when he pees. Are you kidding me? That's just weird, man. And for the record, Brad, this isn't the MTV smack-off, you whiny drama queen. It's the Jim Rome Show. Feel free to mix in a sports take. Your little brain hasn't produced a legitimate sports take since that Doc Rivers take, and even the authenticity of that is under suspicion. Brad, you need to get on the horn with that 1-800-INVENT-HELP guy to see if he can help you invent a sports take real quick. Maybe text Cha-Cha for some sports take assistance. Dean Graziosi thinks you're trying to hawk some snake oil to the jungle, and we're not buying it. And finally, Rome, I was in the Caribbean recently, and as I walked down the street through the tourist traps, I was accosted by a gypsy who pulled me into her office. And this wasn't one of those BS tarot card gypsy, Rome. It was a crystal ball gypsy. You know, the real kind. And this gypsy foretold of a majestic prophecy. She stared hard into her crystal ball and said, "I see an overweight hillbilly in a beat-up pickup truck barreling reckless down a dirt road in Texas in search of a cell phone service." I was like, that's just Bodie in Pearland. He's harmless. The gypsy next speaks of a man cramming himself into a phone booth with a crumpled piece of paper that appears to be a script and a few quarters. I tell the gypsy, looks like Joe in Hollywood making his smack-off call. He's probably going to be on hold for a while. Save your quarters, Joe. Then the gypsy forewarned, beware a tanning bed man with a whiny voice posing for a glamour shot. I was like, Brad and Corona? That clown with the stolen takes? The gypsy quickly interrupts, but he doesn't win. Look closer. I look deeper into the gypsy's crystal ball. I can make out an indoor smoker cooking what appears to be Allen Brothers steaks. I see enough 5-hour energy to wake up a dead man. Wait a second. That's my living room. Then I see Lisa and Indy pouring the Sapphire and tonics. She looks up, we lock eyes, and she tells me to take my socks off. I do declare! I do declare!